All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we are live in full effect with the legendary one half of the legendary Latino hip hop duo. We got Ernie G of Proper Dose live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
What up, what up? I'm good, man. How you guys doing on your end?
I'm doing great, man. Just trying to stay warm. Canada's still pretty chilly down here, so just trying to stay warm on our end, but stay safe at the same time with this current world events going on right now.
Yeah, the corona virus, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely taken the nation by storm, man. I'll tell you that for a fact.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I think we're almost out of it, I hope.
I hope so as well. But I want to take you back to the beginning, man. Back when, like, stuff was most definitely easier for everybody. But I gotta ask you, man, like, what inspired and sparked the legendary career of Ernie Gonzalez?
All right. I don't know, man. It's not like I'll tell you what. It's not like, oh, this is what did it and it happened. It was more like when you see an orange on a tree, it doesn't just happen. Like, you don't just see the orange tree just there and you come the next day and there's an orange on there. It's almost like you were gradually, everything's so slow and it happens. But when you love to do something, you don't know that you're doing it. Like, I didn't know I was going to make a record. It all started with DJing. It all started with hip-hop. And I've said it before in other interviews that it's kind of like there was no hip-hop. You guys grew up with hip-hop. Hip-hop was already here. When we were growing up, it was 70s music. Like, of course, all sounds cliche, but that's what it was. It was like, Chic, Shalimar, in 78, 79. I must have been about 9 years old, and it's all transferring to the 80s. That's when you kind of started hearing Sugar Hill rap, the Sugar Hill Gang. And that whole hip hop, the hippie to the hippie, you don't stop. And a lot of people don't even know that because that's even old for me. But then I started watching. We would catch a glimpse of a DJ, maybe once every blue moon. It wasn't like I can go on YouTube and watch. Let me see how he DJs. Let me see how he produced that. Like we can do it now. It wasn't that, dude. The information wasn't really there, but you heard it, and you might have heard like some guy that came from New York that ends up at your school, and he's like, oh, yeah, I can get those tapes. And you would almost be at his what's the word? Like, you're almost begging, like, bro, can I get that tape? Can I hear it? And then you have to dub it. And that's gradually how it started. I was a DJ. I was a DJ collecting records. Then my curiosity jumped into, how do you make records? I want to know how you make records. And then, being that we had the Rhodium swap meet, I would go to the Rhodium to get my records because we didn't have a streaming platform. And rap wasn't like, especially the underground rap. NWA wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go buy it at the warehouse. Oh, I'm going to buy it at Music Plus. Because we had record stores, okay? We had the record. On the East Coast, I think it was different. But over here, I remember it was the warehouse, Music Plus. And you only had like the popular stuff, like if it was the Fat Boys, maybe Run DMC, right? That was hip hop. So that's all. But you always wanted that underground shit. Like I want NWA for the West Coast. Who else was King T for the West Coast. That was never sold really on that was indie labels. So I started wanting to know how you did that. And dude, it wasn't like there was no Guitar Center. There was no a Sam Ash. There was no, what's that other big Sweetwater? There was none of that. There was only, luckily, I lived like in the center of everything. Not in the center of everything, but I lived on the right side where like I can go to West LA Music, where you would walk into that store. West LA Music was on Santa Monica Boulevard, just west of the 405 freeway. And you would walk in there and you would see plaques of all these famous people taking pictures with the salespersons. And so that was the only place I knew you would buy records. And so I started learning about 4-tracks, which I didn't know what the hell they were, but I knew that. Like, if I told you, yeah, we started recording on 4-tracks, a lot of you guys are going to go to Google and like, what the hell is a 4-track? And then you start seeing the different brands. So you have to save up to buy one of those. And then when you got it, nobody was there to explain it to me. There was no YouTube, dude. There was like, okay, you pan to the left, you pan to the right. And so you would know that, you know what I mean? So that's how I started, man. It started out of curiosity. DJing, and I went to records.
And when you said the Rhodium swap meet as well, you must have been there, and you must have saw individuals like Tony A at the swap meet as well, because I know he was doing his Rhodium tapes there as well.
You know, I never really saw Tony. I don't recall seeing Tony A there. It was like he made the mixtapes, and I never saw him there. It was almost like a mystery. Like, damn, who is this Tony A at the time? You know, like he would make them. Like, say he would make them for Steve Yano, and Steve Yano was selling them there. I never saw Dre either. One time I did see Dre there. I saw him, he signed my record one time, you know. But that was rare, you know. That was like, oh wow, that's Tony A or something, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, and that was the hub. That was like everybody would go to Steve Yano to sell their own records. Like, look, I printed some out at Rainbow Records was actually down the street from me, and that's I later found out that's where a lot of people were pressing up their own records, putting their own money.
And also, as well, as we already know, you were actually a member of the hip-hop duo Proper Dose. I gotta ask you, man, how did yourself and Frank initially get connected? And what's the story behind that phenomenal duo?
Oh, man, dude, it was just Ernie G was a DJ in the hood. I'm still here at the same place. Frank V came from Texas, dude, in his 9th, 10th grade, I want to say. And I heard about him, but I didn't know who he was. A friend of mine that lives like a few blocks from me and say, hey, this dude knows how to rap, I'm going to bring him by. And it's always like them starting like, all right, bring him by, whatever. I'm like, whatever, bring him by. Yeah, bring him by. Yeah, bring him by. He's supposed to come today. No, he didn't show up. He's supposed to come tomorrow. No, finally it happened. Shows up, and remember, guys, it's hard to explain because it wasn't like we had a laptop. It wasn't like, oh, I got a drum machine that can loop. No, I didn't have none of that. The way I was doing it was playing the record back and forth. You know what I mean? Like playing the record back and forth. Like, okay, like 4 bars of the record. Dun 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 dun. Stop the tape player. Stop it. Play the tape player again. Arm the second track because it was a 4-track. Arm the second track, and you already know. Dun 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 dun. Fly the record in. Fly it when the 4 bars end. Fly it in. There was no copy and paste. Okay, then stop the record. Stop the 4-track. You can jump back to track 1. Arm track 1. And as soon as you hear dun-dun-dun, when it finishes, fly the record in. Dun-dun-dun. So now you're making an instrumental, bro. Now you're making an instrumental. So now Frank raps on let's say, on the 3rd track because it was a 4-track. So now 1 and 2, I'm using to make a beat. To put a beat so he can rap over it like an instrument. Because Cutie Pie was not an instrumental. I didn't have the instrumental, get it? So I would only take the first beginning 4 bars, let's say 8 bars before they start singing. And so that's how we did like our demo. We didn't know about bars. We didn't know that 16 bars, a hook. We just rapped. And to us it was a phenomenon. I was like, wow, this shit is hard. I didn't know about sound quality. I was like, it was a tape. There was no such thing as we were just happy we could hear our voices and my production on a cassette. And then we bounced that to a cassette player. You needed a cassette player, so you take the outputs and the 4 tracks bounce to a cassette player. And, dude, it was probably the shittiest sound ever, but we didn't know. We didn't know any better. So then the neighborhood would be like, oh, let me get a copy of that. Oh, the neighborhood raps, you know, because he did do a neighborhood rap, which I wish I would have kept it. I don't know what happened to it. And so that's how I met Frank. That's how I met Frank, through a friend of ours, a mutual friend, and that's how we met him. And from there, that's how the journey continued. And it was a year or 2 after that where if you love something, you're going to make it happen, bro. And that's what it was. You didn't even think about it.
And the one thing, because I grew up listening to both of you guys, man. Like, I had a bunch of your tapes when I was younger as well. And one thing I've always heard growing up, and I strongly believe this one as well, but many individuals say that Proper Dose were like the Latino counterparts on groundbreaking West Coast hip-hop groups such as like NWA, etc. I have to ask you, what is your statement on that? And of course, when individuals say that to you, if they have, how does that make you feel?
I mean, I kind of deep down inside, you got to believe in yourself, right? If you're going to do something, you got to, even if people don't like this shit, you have to believe in something. So I, deep down, without nobody telling me, even to this day, I feel like we were one of the best to ever do it. We were one of the best. Sure, you had your Kid Frost, you know, great songs, but Frank V's voice was like the Mexican Ice Cube, dude. his lyrical contents, his stories, the way he told them, he can't be beat. I don't think so. Even up to, like, I mean, the thing that puzzled me was, like, I thought we were on the way to the top. I was like, man, once this drops, we have an album called Mexican Power. Mexican Power. And we do get respect. Like, a lot of people are like, man, bro, you guys are OG, you guys are all this, and I appreciate it. But it seems like somehow there was like a dark cloud over us or something. Like, we didn't get that love. Like, either they feared us or I don't know what happened. But I didn't care at the time. I was like, I'm just going to make what I do, you know. So yeah, I did feel like my shit was different. My shit was better than the regular guys, you know what I mean? So you had to feel that way. And sometimes I still feel that way. But you know, I don't know what happened. Huh? I don't know what happened.
And when you actually brought up Mexican Power as well, I remember, man, that record is absolutely phenomenal. And I remember actually seeing that it goes for like $500 on eBay. You know what I mean? Like, I just say that must be a huge accomplishment as well. People are willing to like sell them like that much just so people can have them.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Somebody told me that. Yeah, they go now. I think somebody's bootlegging them, and I kind of know who it is. Somebody's bootlegging them, and what's happening is they brought the price down, so now they went back to like 20, but they're bootlegs. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's crazy because yeah, I have seen that, and it's like, wow, those things are going. My boy just hit me up like, man, I just sold one of your records for $100 an album.
Yeah, like people go crazy over some of them, man. Like I've been trying to find your record from like 1995. There, We're At It Again. That was my first Proper Dose record, man. I've been trying to find that, and the cheapest one I saw was like $225.
Yeah, because that one's hard to find because that one was really, really independent with Steve Yano. The first one was kind of backed up by what am I saying? The first one was backed up by and Warner Brothers and Elektra, and I guess he went through a distributor because it was his first own thing, and so that one got backed up. So there's plenty of those. Might be plenty of those going around, but that We're At It Again. Supposedly, it went into bankruptcy. You know what I mean? And I never heard from it again. Like from there, I was like, oh. It all went downhill, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I gotta say, it sucks when stuff like that happens, man. But I remember that record. I remember the song Something to Bump. That was my jam. I think I actually wore my cassette out just from listening to that one track, like, over and over again, man. That was my favorite joint.
Yeah, that was a well-produced song. What a song should be like, you know what I mean? So and the funny thing is that I was just kind of like, it just happened. You know what I mean? It just happened. Like I didn't put too much thought in it. Frank just came with it. I came with the music, and that was that. You know what I mean?
And also, in the year 2001, Proper Dose actually appeared on Low Profile Records compilation Brown Pride Riders Volume 2, in which you completed it with Little Rob and Night Owl. I was wondering, how did you guys actually get connected with Little Rob and Night Owl? And what was it like just collaborating on that project with them?
Anything after the third album, I had nothing to do with anything that had to do with Little Rob and Brown Pride or Royalty. I had nothing. By that time, me and Frank were on our own. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, my apologies on that one. I actually did not know that. I thought you were still doing the producing on all the Proper Dose records.
No, not on those. I mean, no, it was, at that point, I couldn't work with Frank and stuff, you know?
And also, in 2002, so just 2 years after, you actually released the record Too High. I was wondering, for our listeners that don't know, I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about that phenomenal record, and is it still available on the internet to actually be purchased today?
I want to say it might be on eBay, and Too High was, by that time we had entered the digital world, right? By that time I understood a little bit more about recording. I didn't know that we can record on digital. It was something strange to me. Like, oh, we can record on digital? How is that possible? So it was a learning process when I started doing Too High, and the only reason I did I like Too High because everything I threw at him, he was recording over. And sometimes back in the days, you would give the beat to Frank or something, and it might take him a day or two, and then sometimes it might be a week, and so on and so on. So when I met Too High, he would just rapping over everything I gave him, and I liked that because it made me work faster. And then by that time, I'm like, well, let's start recording our own thing, let's start doing it our own. And I think, it's still, I got a lot of copies still. I still got a lot of copies. I just put it up on streaming right now, so not right now, but within the last 6 months, I just got it up on all platforms. Too High. It's a little bit difficult to find because I don't know what the algorithm is for it, but it's on there.
And also, I remember as well the song "If Tomorrow Comes." That was my favorite track. I think that was like track 15 or 16 or something like that on the record. But that's one of my favorite joints. It's off Too High.
It was a great record because we treated them all like songs. Like it wasn't like just rap. And it's not just rapping. It was all like there were songs that had little messages, and I liked all of them. They had 2 albums. They had that one, Too High, and the other one was the Underrated. It was all the Black Label, like Underrated. That one too.
And the one thing I love about those days as well, because like amazing individuals like yourselves, man, you put close to 20 songs on each record. Nowadays you're lucky if you actually get a CD from a store or something, or even digitally, and it's like 8 songs. You don't really get that 1920 track list album nowadays anymore. It's very unfortunate.
It is, and it's not, because a lot of people only got that extension span where, like, there's so much stuff out there that nobody wants to hear the whole album anymore. It's almost like a singles game. It's like a singles game. That's what it is. I don't sit there and listen to out. There's so many stuff out there that I don't know, man. I'm out the loop. I don't know.
And also as well, I saw on Instagram a while back that you actually posted a photo of Proper Dose and a bunch of other hip hop artists with Snoop Dogg. I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about that classic photo, and did you guys actually have the opportunity to work with Snoop Dogg on that day?
No, the reason that photo got taken was because I think they needed a scene where Snoop Dogg was supposed to do on the Chronic, the first one. Dre, Little Ghetto Boy. Remember Little Ghetto Boy?
I remember that one. Yeah.
I think the video's out, but you gotta look for it. I don't think it ever came out officially, but it's out. And they just needed a jail scene where I think he said something about Mexicans and blacks going at it, so they needed that scene. And that's how we ended up with Snoop. And so they called us and a couple others, and that's the reason that exists, because of that. That's the only reason. But I never saw the video. I think I seen it once. It's unofficially out, or I don't know if it's officially out, but it did come out.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have to, after this interview, I'm going to have to do my digging and see if I can actually come across like the raw footage, man. Because I think that would be really, it's a cool piece of hip hop just to actually watch.
Those pictures are from Little Ghetto Boy, from Dr. Dre.
But I gotta say as well, though, quickly, I think, if yourself and Frank and Snoop Dogg got in the studio, I think you guys would have made some phenomenal magic, man. Proper Dose and Snoop Dogg, that Latino sound with that West Coast, like, funkiness, I think, oh, man, that would have been a wrap.
I agree.
And also, as well, I gotta say, I saw this one on Discogs, and I know this is a jump from hip-hop, so I do know that there is another Ernie G out there, so if this does conflict, just stop me. But in 2007, I read that you actually worked as artist management for Meatloaf's 3 Bats Live, and I was wondering, if that's true, can you tell our listeners a bit more about that experience, and of course, how did you initially get connected with Meatloaf?
No, I never even heard that story, so it can't be me. Meatloaf, the Meatloaf guy?
Yeah, the Meatloaf guy. I saw that, and it was like, when I clicked on the name, it went to your Discogs, but I was kind of sitting back, I'm like, you know what, that could be a good story, or that could be false.
Or it could be a typo, I don't know.
Hey, well, I look at it like this, at least, for other interviewers, if people come across it, they know, do not bring up Meatloaf, it's not Ernie G from Proper Dose.
Unless I'm hungry, bring me some meatloaf.
Hey, man, I most definitely agree, man. How can you ever go wrong with meatloaf, though? You know what I mean? That's probably some of the best food out there.
Yeah, especially if it's from your mama.
Oh man, most definitely, I agree, man. And also, I noticed as well that you actually have your own record label called High Caliber Records. That's the same record label that actually released Too High. But I was wondering, can you tell us a bit more about your record company? Of course, who do you currently have signed under you today?
It's not. I just had to have something, man. I couldn't. By that time, everybody wants to know that. So I just like. I think. I want to say too. I came up with that name, High Caliber, because I'm not too good with the names. Because Frank B came up with the proper dose, and so I was just like, yeah, that sounds good, man. We'll just roll with that. I kind of almost feel like I'm parallel to Dre, but I'm the broke Dre, because Dre seems like he didn't care about the money. He just cared about making music, and the money will come. Except for me, it didn't come like Dre. But that's kind of how I was. I was all about the music. We needed a name, High Caliber. That's cool. We'll roll with it. And then we're still rolling with that. High Caliber Exclusive or High Caliber Records or just whatever, but High Caliber. You know what I mean?
And I gotta say as well, I really like the name as well. It's catchy, you know what I mean? It's not generic like every other name. It's really out there.
Mm-hmm.
And also as well, I noticed that you have actually done a great amount of work with an independent artist by the name of Loco Negro. I was wondering, how did yourself and him initially get connected? And of course, do you guys have any current projects in the works?
Man, he's been around probably before High Caliber. You know, you end up meeting a lot of rappers, and some you click with, and that's all it is. Is I click with them. He always showed up. He loves music like I do, and I think we did an album with him too. We have one album, I think, Southern Comfort. There's a CD, Southern Comfort. It's up on streaming, Loco Negro. So that one's out. It was nice too. And from there, it's been more of a friendship. Of course, we recorded a lot of stuff, but it's been more like a friendship than we recorded. You know what I mean? Like that's all that is. It's like you. I'm sure there's a buddy you've been knowing for over 10 years, and you guys are cool, and you might, lab out or do whatever, and you just put out records because you can now. You know what I mean?
I gotta say, I most definitely agree. Some people are meant to be friends, and some people are meant to be business associates.
Exactly.
But I gotta ask you, Ernie, I know you have such a huge, extensive career within the music industry, but the one thing I have to ask you is, is there any current projects that you're working on right now? Like, anything you want to talk about or promote? Anything I missed that you want to let our live audience know? What stuff you hear live on the Canadian airwaves?
Well, I don't want to be like everybody else that says, yeah, oh, sure, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got that. I don't. I actually don't. I'm kind of brainstorming right now. Like I was telling you earlier before we started, I kind of had to clear out the home studio. I kind of had to repaint some, and I'm still in the process because the vibe's not there no more, dude. That's why everything has like a time, dude. I'm just glad that I'm still kind of around, but with timing was everything. Like you think when we made Proper Dose, I thought oh, it's never gonna end. And it does. Music changes. As you can see now, it's all like rap music that changes to something else, and you kind of have to adapt. And I kind of know that once you're like an artist, you make a hit or two, it's gonna be like even Snoop in it. Snoop, I can't say like Snoop or anybody that's been famous. LL Cool J, Run DMC, they had their time, and I realize that you have your time. But as a producer, you're able to produce maybe new music with maybe a little touch of your sound, as you said, a little bit of touch of my sound. Because a lot of it's like, unless you're older, if you're Snoop and you're really popular like that, he can go back and work off his old catalog. Some of the new music I'm not into. I haven't been like a super, you respect because he moved on to many other things that opened the gateways for many other things. But as far as music, yeah, I think we all like the Snoop Dogg from the early '90s, or like '95 and stuff like that when he was with Dre and stuff like that. The stuff he did with Pharrell was cool, but it wasn't my thing. But that goes with every other artist, and I kind of feel that's the same thing with me. Like people like our old stuff. So if I do new stuff to try to compete with like the trap music, it might just not be for my fans or my supporters. So you got to be careful what you do. So right now I'm just kind of in the middle of just brainstorming and just listening. And I don't know if I would do some stuff. I'm more into mixing now, dude. Like, I'll mix your stuff. Like, send me your stuff. Let me mix your stuff. Let me add something. So I don't know.
And I gotta say as well, I gotta say I really respect that as well, because a lot of artists nowadays are just really trying to stay relevant. And they're jumping in to this trap music, even though they're from an era where the closest thing you didn't really have auto tune. You just kind of went in there and everything was raw. So I gotta say I really respect that. Like I hope down the line we hear some new Ernie G, but if not, man, I just gotta say 110%. I respect your wishes, man, because you're keeping it real with your fans and supporters.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I have dibbled with that, but then that's how you find out if, like, people are really feeling it, and they're not going to tell you because, they're going to say, but I wish they would say, look, G, I kind of don't like that. You should do this stuff. And I listen to all that, like on the YouTubes or even on Instagram. I'm more active on Instagram. So anybody listening, they can be honest. You got to be honest sometimes. Like, some people do get their feelings hurt. I'm not, bro. I'm going to be like, cool, I'll take that. Like, it's constructive criticism, I say. Like, if I say, look, I don't hate it, but then I can't be shooting people's plane down. It is what it is. Some people believe that's what it is. Everybody's following a trend now. Nobody's original, dude. If you're original, they ain't going to like you because you got to sound like whoever's popping. You got to sound like them now. That's the sound. Everybody sounds the same. I can't tell nobody apart, man. I can't. And that's the sad part. Back then, you were a biter, bro, if you sounded like somebody. Well, you sound like him. He just stole his lyrics. But now it's okay. Now you can do that. And I understand. Things change. I understand. And it's not for me. I got to keep my integrity. You know what I mean?
And you always got to stay true to yourself. And it's weird. When you said that as well, you're right. Back in the day, if you actually sounded like someone else, that you were a biter. You know what I mean? And now it's like if you don't sound like everybody else, you're a biter. And it's like, wait, when did the rules get reversed here?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But when you mentioned a few moments ago about individuals actually getting their music mixed by you, because I know we have some underground artists, man, that really do still love that real hip hop sound. So how could they actually go about contacting you just so they can actually get their music mixed and mastered by the legendary Ernie G?
Look, I don't claim to be the greatest. The only thing I can offer is like, look, I can try to do it because I'm still learning, and that's the reason why I still like it, because it's something I'm learning about. So, like I said, most likely I'm always active on Instagram, and that's proper underscore DOS, proper dose, but it's proper underscore. White people say DOS, like the computer DOS, DOS, but I tell them it's really DOS. That's how you spell DOS, 1, 2. In Spanish is DOS is 2 in Spanish, So they can hit me up there. And I like doing it. I get intrigued by, check out this club. I kind of stopped now because it's too much. So you don't need a lot now no more. You can record you can do everything in a laptop now. You just got to know, like, okay, let me try to record in a room that doesn't have too many reflections. Let me try to minimize, almost like less is more, dude. Less is more. It is true, dude. When I didn't know much, that's when I did my hits. When I didn't know as much is when I did my hits. But I believe. Now that I know more, I kind of don't believe sometimes, you know what I mean? Because it's too much.
But I got to ask you, Ernie, so this is the time quickly in the interview, before I wrap things up, that I just give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give, like, shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to. But I know you already dropped your Instagram handles, but if you can, drop your other social media handles. That way, if individuals want to at least give you a follow on those and catch you whenever you're there, they can do so.
Man, let me see, what else would I have? I think if I ever even, I forgot my Twitter handle because it's been a while. The only one I mess with is Instagram. Facebook is more like and I don't even get on that thing. I have like a personal one that I have there, but I don't even touch Facebook. But it's mostly just Instagram. That's it.
And also, remember, ladies and gentlemen, there is a fake one rolling around. I saw that on your Instagram, so make sure you follow the real one.
Exactly. And you'll probably know which one's the real one. If it has over 10K followers, that might be the real one. If the other one's under that, it's not. You know what I mean?
But I gotta say, Ernie, first and foremost, man, thank you so much for just taking the time out of your busy evening and coming on the radio station, man. It was an honor and a privilege, and I just gotta say quickly while I have you here, thank you for years of amazing music. You know, you helped create so many amazing projects, man, that really just influenced and inspired so many people worldwide. So for that, on behalf of myself and the radio station listeners, man, thank you for years of amazing hip hop.
Nah, man. I mean, it's thanks to all the supporters. I don't even say fans because you guys ain't fans. You guys have been supporting me since day one. Especially like it's a trip for me to hear that I'm getting interviewed in Canada. Like that, you never imagine that. So thank you guys, man. Every single one of you guys that supported Proper Dose to this day, man. Because who would have thought that? What is it like over 25 years later?
I think about that. Yeah, I think about 25, or I think a little bit more. It's actually, it sounds bad to say, it's pushing 30.
Almost, yeah. Almost on 30, man. Yeah. Almost 30.
But hey, you know what? I could see you guys being around for another 30 more. You know what I mean? Whether you guys are making music or not, it's still good to be able to sit back and see your legacy flourish.
Man, my God, here I just turned, what is it, 50 on Thursday, bro. I just turned 50. Who would have thought about that?
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. But yeah, man, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that we are in the time that we are. Because look, if it wasn't for technology, there's no way I would be like, oh, I'm heading to the studio. Because back then you had to pay. Back then a reel. If people know what a reel is, if they don't, you can always Google it because you have Google. A 24-inch reel was like $150, dude. Just to have that, $150, and that reel was like basically a cassette, like a big cassette for these big machines to record your tracks on. And you would also have to have a studio. You have to pay for the studio, and you only fit 3 songs on that, if that, 3 songs, like 3 minutes. So it was a total like 15 minutes for that reel, dude. And so if it wasn't for what we have now, there's no way I would be like, oh, let me spend another $150 just to get a tape so I can put some ideas down on a 24-inch track. And then, you know what I mean? Now I can open a laptop, and you got drum machines on a laptop. You got synths on a laptop. You got everything you need on a laptop. So,
I gotta say, I most definitely agree. Technology is the damnedest thing, but I gotta ask you while we're here, actually, because you're a legendary producer. Like, when you open up your laptop, would you actually prefer just like your regular original drum machine, or do you prefer the ones that's actually on the laptop?
Well, I like certain aspects of the laptop because I can copy and edit, and I can like put an EQ real quick. But I do notice that the sounds coming. Let's say the SP1200, dude. I just plugged it up recently, and I'm like, wow. See, we didn't know that. That's just the sound that it was there. Like when you record it on analog, and you record it on analog, and your stuff was made with an MPC or drum, it gave it that boom bat that you're like, oh man, this boom bat is like, you're rock, and you didn't know that it was the actual drum machine, that the converters, the way the electricity runs it. Now you have cleaner sound, you have louder sound, you have more sampling time, you have unlimited sampling time. But how are you? For the kids that are living now, they're not going to miss that because they never had that. But it's like kind of saying like you have a brand new car with all the latest gadgets in it, Bluetooth, whatever have you, electric seats. But then you look at, if you're a fanatic or if you're a car guy, and you look at an old 1960 car. Probably didn't have all that. It's just a different feeling, dude. It's just a different feeling when you're rolling down the street with a car like that. And yeah, of course, even me that I have all these drum machines, I don't have the time really to be like, let me turn it on, let me fix this, because you had to, dude. Like if you wanted to hear a song, you'd have to get another floppy. And now you have drum packs. Like, let me download the drum packs. You have all the drums you want. Back in the days, we actually would listen to records and be like, oh shit, this Rick James snare is out in the open. It's clear. Let me sample that. You had to play it from the from the turntable, sample it, truncate it, make it sound cool, save it. You needed a kick drum? Let me listen to a nice Billy Squire kick drum. Oh, boom, I like that one. Let me sample it. Let me truncate it, meaning, you know, cut the edges, front, back. Oh, this sounds good. Let me save it. Now let me make a beat. So that's how you're making your own drum kits, you know. Let me sample it, and then you run out of samples. Then you'd be like, I don't have more sampling time. So you had to get creative, dude. And there was tricks to that too, you know what I mean?
But I gotta say, most definitely sounds like back in the day using that SP1200. It sounded challenging, but most definitely fun as well, because it really shows you how to work the technology. You really get the feel for it, rather than just clicking some buttons on a computer.
Exactly, but well, the thing is this: back then, that's all I knew, right? Now, I know I can open my laptop, I can go to YouTube, I can download a song that I was thinking of going to the back room, looking for it, pulling it out to sleep, turn on the turntable, turn on the SP1200, sampling. Now you can do it, boom, let me turn on to that. But you're not going to get the same sound, I'll tell you that much. Because first of all, you're taking it from, say, for us that we sampled, we're taking it from YouTube. The quality's not going to be as good, but it's going to, most people are either going to like it or not. Either way, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to make the record, make it or break it, but sometimes you like a song, you don't know why. It's because maybe it was recorded right. Maybe because the sound sounds different. Maybe because the sound did go through these analog preamps and compressors. And you don't know. It's like, listen to the radio and keep it at one volume. Listen to the current music. And then just switch it over to some classic rock or something. And just kind of, it's more musical, dude. It's more musical. You will play why is classic rock still being played? I just hope that today's music's going to play 30 years from now, which I doubt, but I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I don't think you're going to be like 30 years from now and be like, let's hear Laffy Taffy, like you hear a Elton John song, you know what I mean? I don't think that's going to happen, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I might be wrong.
But I gotta say, first and foremost, Ernie, thank you so much again for just taking the time of your busy evening. Like I said, I've been a fan of yours for a long time, so just being able to chop it up with you about your history, your projects, just be able to chop it up about musical instruments, man, it was an honor. And I hope down the line, man, we can make this happen again sometime soon, because I know I only touched base on a sliver of your career this evening.
Man, whenever you want to call, whenever you want to come down, bro, let me know. I wouldn't mind visiting Canada, bro. You let me know. I'll go down to Canada.
Hey, man, most definitely. We might just actually have to set that up after this COVID-19, because I think our borders are still closed. I really don't know when they're opening back up, but when they do, we most definitely can make that a reality, because I've been trying to actually work on getting some in-person interviews as well. Like, telephone's fun, but sometimes it's chopping it up live on the air, face-to-face is 10 times better.
You guys can show me around Canada, and that'd be nice, dude.
Hey, man, most definitely. I just gotta say, depending on the month, you might want to bring a coat, though, because it most definitely is. She's a tit-bit nipply down here compared to California.
Exactly. You got to chill, like EPMD said.
Hey, man, most definitely.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, Ernie, we most definitely will set that up once the borders open back up. But for now, thank you so much, and most definitely have yourself a wonderful night, and enjoy the rest of what's left of the weekend. I guess there's a couple hours left. And most definitely...
Man. Back to that grind tomorrow.
Hey, most definitely. Mondays suck, but you know what? Once you get past the Monday, that's when the flow just that's when it starts flowing again.
Yes, sir.
But thank you so much, Ernie, and most definitely have yourself a wonderful night.
You too, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're most certainly welcome. Thank you.
All right.